talks about. So I found this article, just came out just a few hours ago, and it kind of took me by surprise. I did not realize that it's been 10 years since Rango came out. So we're going to talk about this article, but before we do, as always, if you like this video, please leave a thumbs up, share this video, leave me a comment down below. Did you realize it's been 10 years since Rango came out? And let's get into it. So this is from Collider magazine. Like I said, it just came out just a few hours ago, and it's by Steve Weintraub. Its title is Exclusive. 10 years later, Gore Verbinski looks back on Rango and the radical approach he applied to the animation medium, plus how he made the transition from directing music videos and commercials to movies and why he loved making his first films at DreamWorks. So this starts out, I'm not going to read the entire article. I suggest you go and look it up. It's a really interesting article, but there's just a couple of things that I thought we could talk about, especially since it was a Johnny Depp animation. It says, with the Oscar-winning animated classic Rango celebrating its 10th anniversary this year, the writer, Steve Weintraub, recently conducted an extended interview with director Gore Verbinski about the making of his first animated film. If you haven't seen this brilliant movie, Rango is a computer animated western about a pet chameleon who ends up becoming the sheriff of a town suffering from a drought and tasked with playing tough guy, despite the fact that he is very much not a tough guy. The film has an offbeat sense of humor and is loaded with colorful characters and wonderful visual and thematic references to the films of Sam Peckinpah and Sergio Leone. And now I recognize the name Sergio Leone because I believe that's who did the spaghetti westerns back in the 60s, like with Clint Eastwood and stuff. And my dad was a huge Clint Eastwood fan, so of course I am too. And so when I saw that name, that really brought back some memories. I mean, we're talking 60s was even before I was born, believe it or not. But the article goes on to say Rango was a fairly groundbreaking film, not only in its ambitious visuals, but in how it was made. And it says, what you might not know is Rango originated in Arts Deli in Los Angeles with children's book author David Shannon, producer John Carls, and Verbinski having breakfast and talking about making an animated western with creatures of the desert. They didn't have financing or a studio or even any sort of idea where it would go. But Verbinski worked on the idea and eventually brought it to producer Graham King for startup money. John Logan to work on the script, used his just sold house as the location where everyone could work, and spent 18 months crafting the film with several artists. At the end of it, he got Johnny Depp to be on the film, then asked Brad Gray, who was running Paramount at the time, to come to the house to watch the animatic and see all the drawings. Shortly thereafter, following over a year of independent work put into the project, Paramount agreed to make the movie, and they were off to the races. And I mean, and then in the next section says, while this sounds like an adventure of its own, this doesn't even cover how they shot the film with all the actors over 20 days. They used rudimentary props and fold-up tables, and the actors wore whatever they wanted and didn't have to worry about their hair or how they looked. The only thing that was required of them was to know their lines and be available for the duration of the shoot. And he does have some home video in this, so like I said, if you want to, go read this article. It's really cool. You get to see Johnny doing some home video, or in some home video here, so it's really neat. And we're going to go on down because I loved when it got to the part. And now let me just read this right quickly. He won an Oscar for it, which was, he says, I believe it's one of the rare times that it wasn't Pixar or Disney to win the animated Oscar. And then he asked Verbinski, what did it mean to you at the time to win the Oscar for his animation? And Verbinski answers, well, I mean, honestly, it felt great. I mean, Pixar, I think they had Cars 2 in the running that year, so we were lucky that we weren't up against Inside Out or something. It felt really good. I mean, that movie, when I think about that movie, I just think about the friends and the sort of, that movie was really homegrown. I mean, it was pitched after it was happening, if that makes any sense. I just felt like everybody who worked so hard on it, I don't know, it just felt like some sort of group of misfits that won a bike race or something. So I thought this was really cute. But I've got to get to where he asked Johnny about being in the film. So we're going to skip down a little bit. Let me find it here. When he gets to Johnny, let's see, I may have went past it. Hold on here. Well, when he gets to Johnny and asks him to be in the film, he tells him a little bit about it, and Johnny responds with, "You had me at lizard." Is that not just such a... I mean, I love that answer. Let's see if I can find... Oh, it says, "Then I called Johnny Depp, and we had a meeting, and I pitched him the entire narrative, and he was like, 'You had me at lizard.'" So he was halfway through the pitch, and then I brought Brad Gray and some guys from Paramount over to the house to show them. So, I mean, in which that's really, I think that's the only time Johnny's actually mentioned by name in this article. And this article goes on for quite a bit, but when I read that, I just thought that was so adorable. "You had me at lizard." Is that not such a Johnny thing? And then even the way this movie come together, how he talks about it was so homegrown, so organic. I think that with Johnny, a lot of times, that's when some of his best movies are made. I mean, he's so talented. And I think about that when he came to Hollywood, he wasn't even coming to be an actor. He was coming to be a musician. And, it's just amazing what the world has been able to get, all because he met Nicolas Cage. But when I saw that Rango was 10 years old, it really took me by surprise. It doesn't seem like it was that long ago. And this is a really good article, especially if you're into how animation is made. So I suggest you go and read the entire thing. I mean, it's quite a read, and there's a lot of specifics in it. Verbinski makes for a great interview, and I just thought you might want to know. Rango is 10 years old this year, so it's celebrating its anniversary. So tell me in the comments below, did you see Rango? Did you watch it because Johnny Depp was in it? Did you watch it because your kids wanted to see it? How did you come to know Rango? And if you didn't, are you going to go watch it now? It's a really, really great movie. It's worth the time to watch, and this article is worth the read. So as always, until next time, be blessed.